This video is sponsored by Audible. For a free audiobook, use the link in the description below. Here on the Exploring the Cosmere channel, we run these Cosmere face-off brackets, where you get the chance to vote on your favorite characters, books, magic systems, and more, and determine who moves forward in the bracket. In this video, we'll be taking a look at the best Stormlight character bracket and see who you guys determined was the best character in the entire Stormlight Archive. This bracket was ran before Wind and Truth was released, so I won't be talking about any of the plot points from Wind and Truth. Before we get started, pause the video and leave a comment down below of who you think is gonna win this bracket. For the first matchup, we have Adolin, the highborn, light-eyed princeling, who fans have described as the human equivalent of a golden retriever. He's just so friendly to everyone. Versus Lopen, the former one-armed bridgeman, who is now a Knight's Radiant and has regrown his arm. I think it's no surprise that Adolin won this round easily, winning 79% to 21%. Lopen is really more of a side character at this point in the series, and Adolin over time has become one of the main characters and is definitely one of the fan favorites. That brings us to our next matchup. We have Dalinar, the former warmonger, who really didn't care about much in his youth other than conquering, but he has now really taken a lot of steps to redeem himself and make amends for all of his mistakes that he made in the past. And he's facing off against Lift, who I think is one of the most interesting characters in the Stormlight Archive. She has all these strange abilities that we still don't know much about, and she got these abilities from Cultivation when she went to visit the Nightwatcher. Interestingly, both of these characters have visited the Nightwatcher and interacted with Cultivation, and they're both Knight's Radiants. Dalinar took this round 87% to 13%. Lift really didn't stand a chance. Moving on to our next matchup, we have Jasnah, one of the greatest scholars of this modern era of Roshar, who is also a Knight's Radiant and the Queen of Alethkar, versus Shallan, one of the main characters of the series. She had a very traumatic childhood, and she's been working through that trauma throughout the whole series. I really didn't know what to expect with this matchup, but Jasnah ended up taking this round with 54% of the votes versus Shallan's 46%. In round 4, we have Renarin, who is the son of Dalinar. He started off as kind of more of a side character, but as the series has went on, he has stepped more and more into the forefront. He's facing off against Taravangian. Now, Taravangian is a very calculating and sinister individual. Like Dalinar and Lift, he went to see the Nightwatcher, but met with Cultivation instead and got one of her boons and curses, which made him have days where he was extremely intelligent and other days where he was extremely emotional. And then of course in Rhythm of War, we saw him ascend and take up the Shard of Odium. He does a lot of terrible things, but he claims he's doing them for the greater good. And Taravangian managed to take this round, getting 73% of the votes versus Renarin's 27%. For round 5, we have Adolin versus Szeth. Szeth was the assassin in white who killed Gavilar Kholin, really kicking off a lot of the events of the story. For many years, he thought that he was a truthless, so he would just roam around Roshar with an honor blade, killing anybody who his masters told him to. Once Taravangian got a hold of him, he ordered Szeth to commit many atrocities, so he has many deaths on his hands, and he's constantly hearing the whispers of the people he's killed. This round ended up being very close, but Adolin managed to secure the win with 55% of the votes to Szeth's 45%. For round 6, we have Dalinar versus Navani. Now, this is an interesting round because they are husband and wife. Navani was once married to Dalinar's brother, Gavilar, but about 6 years after Gavilar's assassination, Dalinar and Navani realized that they love each other and they decided to make it work. As of the end of Rhythm of War, they're both bondsmiths, so they're pretty much the epitome of a power couple in the Cosmere. We found out in this round that Dalinar is much more beloved than Navani is. He got 87% of the votes versus Navani's 13%. For round 7, we see Jasnah versus Venli. Now, Venli is very hated in the community, I've noticed. She did a lot of terrible things. She's the one that's pretty much responsible for bringing the Everstorm and bringing forms of power back to the listeners and other singers. But she's been making steps to redeem herself. She's kind of playing both sides, a little bit of a double agent. But I think it should be no surprise that Navani dominated this round, winning with 92% of the votes. Round 8, we have Taravangian versus Kaladin. Kaladin is definitely one of the main characters. A lot of people would probably say he is the main character. He's had a rough life, starting out the series as a slave. And just when he was thinking that life couldn't possibly get any harder, he was thrown into the bridge crews and forced to run in front of Sadeas's armies on the Shattered Plains, essentially acting as bait for the Parshindi forces to focus their arrows on. But he managed to pull himself up by his bootstraps, and he turned Bridge 4 into something special. As of the end of Rhythm of War, he is pretty much a superhero. He has sworn the 4th ideal and has his shard plate, but he's still a sad boy. I honestly thought that this round would have been closer than it turned out being, but nope, Kaladin dominated 86% to 14%. Now we to the semifinals. The first round of the semifinals is round 9, where we see Adolin face off against his father, Dalinar. At the end of Rhythm of War, they are not on good terms at all. Adolin found out that Dalinar burned his mother alive back when he was the Blackthorn at the Rift. Now, he didn't do this on purpose, but I mean, it's still pretty messed up. Surprisingly, this wasn't a close round at all. Dalinar won handily with 85% of the votes, knocking Adolin out of the competition. The second matchup of the semifinals is Jasnah versus Kaladin. Now, as of Rhythm of War, Kaladin has had a lot more page time than Jasnah has. So I think it's no surprise that Kaladin won with 82% of the votes to Jasnah's 18%. That brings us to the final round. We have Dalinar facing off against Kaladin. Two powerhouses in the Stormlight Archive, but only one can win. Dalinar is probably the most powerful man on Roshar. He's definitely one of the most influential, but Kaladin is everybody's favorite sad boy superhero. So in the end, Kaladin managed to win the overall competition, beating Dalinar 61% of the votes to 39% of the votes. So there you have it. You guys determined that Kaladin's Stormblast is the best character in the Stormlight Archive. Let me know in the comments if you guys predicted this correctly. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on post notifications so you can take part in future Cosmere face-off polls. Consider supporting the channel by using the affiliate links in the description or by becoming a patron or a channel member to get access to exclusive content and perks. And don't forget, you can get a free audiobook thanks to the sponsor of today's video, Audible. All you have to do is use the link in the description below and sign up for an Audible Premium Plus 30-day free trial. Once you sign up, Audible will give you a credit, and you can use this credit to get any audiobook of your choice absolutely free. Being an Audible member also gives you access to the Audible Plus catalog, which includes thousands of other audiobooks and podcasts. It's a great opportunity to give Audible a try. So once again, to claim your free audiobook, just use the link in the description below. That's it for this video, guys. I'll see you in the next one.